Morning everyone. It's a bit chilly outside, but it's beautiful, so I've just determined to make my video outdoors today with a nice warm cup of tea. I've been thinking about screen use. So one of the things that I'm very conscious of in my work, especially when I'm working with young people, is that as a therapist my job cannot just be that paid hour with my client, because there are other conversations that need to happen with school staff and parents. And I have for a long time been wondering how or where or when I could maybe set up some kind of parent support group, because I'm so conscious of the level of support that parents need. Just having somewhere they can bat around ideas with people that they trust. So in the early days of our journey as a family, I joined a whole heap of Facebook groups and parenting forums, and oh my god, they overwhelmed me enormously. And what I would have really liked would have been maybe a group of, say, 5 or 10 parents where we could sit and chat. Actually 10 was probably too much. Maybe a group of 5 or 6 parents. Sit and chat about our experiences, exchange ideas. In the end I was lucky, and I've been able to have these conversations with cousins and friends and other family members. And I've been fortunate that I am surrounded by neurodivergent families in my personal life as well as my work. And so I've been able to have these conversations with many people and gain perspectives from many different angles on all sorts of different subjects. And one of these subjects is screen use. And I remember again in the early months of assessment, the number of psychologists that said to me, let go of mum guilt around screen use was enormous. Like every single psychologist said this to me. There will be times when you need to let your child use screens for the entire day. Now I know this is a really unpopular perspective, but we all need to survive. And if we take the assumption that for the majority of neurodivergent kids, their parents, at least one, possibly both of their parents, are also going to be neurodivergent, the whole family is going to be experiencing overload at different times, and maybe all at the same time. And so we need to be kind to ourselves. And I've spoken about this in terms of, as individuals, ADHD and autism tips, and as couples, you know, being aware of your energy levels and what your needs are. And this also extends to screen use. So we tend to see screen use as a singular thing, an entity that is big and scary and bad, but it's not. It is a rectangle that provides access to hundreds of different activities, all of which have a different purpose and function in our lives. Some of these will be social based. So the number of us that leave voice notes or text messages, part of our social life is conducted online, not just to arrange face-to-face meetups, but as part of our social life. And that's really valuable to a lot of us. When you've had a really bad day at work, have a think about whether you've ever come home and binge watched a show that just makes you feel cozy and comfortable and happy. Have a think about whether you've ever just watched a rom-com to bring some kind of serotonin or oxytocin boost to your brain so that you can feel a bit calmer and happier after a really bad day at work. And this is for adults who in the main have a much larger level of control over their work life and their social life and their home environments than children do. And so if we think of children who don't have control over these things, where can they get control over? Yes, their own bedrooms, but that can become a little boring, and boredom for an ADHD person can lead to meltdown. Like boredom is as bad a form of overload as too many demands. So if we think about the benefits of screen use, and I remember way back when, over 25 years ago, when I studied the social psychology of internet communications technology, very early studies, I was very interested to see how there were benefits in internet contact. So for example, it's easier to become closer quicker online than face-to-face for many people. For the majority of people, there is a thing called disinhibition, where you're more likely to disclose more sooner if you're not face-to-face. There are negatives as well, but I'm wanting to focus on some of the positives. And for me, yeah, disinhibition can have a negative impact that you might reveal too much too soon, but it also means that you can really truly share of yourself, and it's through vulnerability that we get the right support that we need and the right care that we need from people, because we're opening up our true selves to people. and so our true needs become visible and can be met. Another thing that I've noticed in terms of screen use and children and young people is that it gives them a world where they can be fully in control. And this can give you, as well as giving you the positive chemicals and emotions associated with feeling in control, you can also carve out mini successes and achievements for yourself that again give you this positive kind of feedback that you have some worth, you have some value, there is meaning to your life. And these are really important. Any successes that you have in an online world have the same impact on you as a success in kind of the in real life. And you know, I don't really like this distinction. As I was saying it, I was thinking I don't like this distinction of in real life and online, because online is part of your real life. It's a real world experience and reaction and emotional reaction and body and physiological and neurological reaction. They are the same as a real world reaction. I remember studies a long time ago showed that if you watch a soap opera, watching a familiar and liked soap opera triggers the same part of your brain as a positive social interaction with a friend. So it gives you the same reward in your social brain as seeing someone in real life. And while obviously we don't want to rely on these things as our only forms, sometimes they are part of a retreat from the outside world when things feel too difficult and we need to go inwards. And this could be a temporary thing for a few months or a year, or it could be a permanent solution, like once or twice a week or more often. You go online, you immerse yourself in this world where you have full control, where you can achieve things in an easy way without feeling like you're constantly messing up because you don't understand the dynamics that are going on around you. You have control over what level of stimulation you receive. There is one thing that I do feel, which I have used in terms of applying caution to the use of screens, and that is if you have a child or a young person that uses a lot of screens, it's very important to help them develop an awareness of how they react to different types of screen use. So for example, again, this was way back when I studied at university, I remember reading a research report that indicated that, and this is general, so I don't want anyone saying, oh yes, but I'm a female, that applies to me too. It does apply to some women too. If you're a male, in general, really violent shooting games have been shown to actually make these men calmer in everyday life, because you're getting this kind of reaction, this aggression out in a healthy way, in a sense, that doesn't actually damage real life people. You're using up the stress and the tension that you might have built up through the day. You're channeling it through the video game rather than it coming out or exploding at inappropriate moments in your life when you don't want it to. So violent computer games can have a really positive impact on men and boys in the sense that it helps them to channel those feelings and dispel them in the game rather than in their homes or at school. This can also have the same impact for girls, but it's a lot less common to have that impact for girls and women. Also, if you think about music, so certainly for the older generations, using music for different moods is something that we're much more familiar with. So you might have a going out track or going out album that you listen to when you're getting ready to go out for a night out. You might have music that you listen specifically to if you're in the gym or doing exercise. You might have music that you listen to when you want to have a good old cry or when you're trying to go to sleep at night, and they're all different. And you would never dream of using the same type of music all the time. And so it's the same with gaming and screen use. There will be certain games that help you calm down, certain games that give you energy, certain games that help you to utilize and dispel any kind of nervous tension. And, so I would encourage parents, adults, to think about this with your own screen use, but also parents and educators to consider this with children and young people's use, is to help them to notice the impact that certain games might have on them. So if you see someone getting really, really stressed, you say, do you notice how you're getting really stressed? I'm not sure this is the right game for this moment. I'm wondering whether there might be another game that might be better for you right now, and maybe come back to this when you're feeling a bit calmer. Or I've noticed that if you do this game at the beginning of the day or last thing at night, it has this impact on you. I'm wondering if this might be a better middle of the day kind of game. So it's really about matching your screen use to your needs rather than just going into it blindly. So it's about developing that level of self-awareness in terms of what you actually need in the moment. How we do with food, how we do with music. What food do I actually need at the moment? Do I really want a chocolate bar? Or maybe would a something with iron in serve me better, or some juice, what do I really need in this moment? It's all about developing that level of self-awareness. So I guess, to end this, I would just encourage you to have a think about things like screen use, and try to break it down into lots of different purposes, lots of different functions, and see if you can match those functions to those needs, and help the people in your life to maybe develop, the younger people to develop the same sort of awareness. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions around this, please do let me know. It's something that is very close to my heart because I have seen the benefits of screen use in so many people, and I also see a lot of fear amongst parents. Am I giving my child too much screen use? Is it going to damage them permanently? Now, obviously, if you're a couple of years down the line and you feel it's getting too much, then maybe there needs to be an intervention. From my own experience, personally, and with people I've worked with, intensive screen use usually is temporary. And when that person is feeling less overloaded, less burnt out, less anxious, they will want to come off screens and open out to the world again and do something that is not linked with the use of screens. They will make that choice themselves. Obviously, all this is about your judgment for yourself and your families, but go away and have a think about it and see what emerges for you. I hope you all have a really good day, and I hope you, it's actually quite bright here, but I'm loving it. I hope you have good weather wherever you are. Take care.